G'day, welcome to another episode of Country Life on the Coast. My name is Sean, and on today's episode I'm trying to do some maintenance and get our Stihl whippersnipper going. This is a Stihl FS81 whippersnipper. I've had it for many years. It's given trouble-free service. There's very little I've ever had to do to it. Did have to replace the fuel tank at one point, but basically it's always been a case of turn it on the handle, put the choke on, pull it to start, normally around 9 or 10 times, and it'll either fire or almost fire, then turn the choke off, pull it again, and it'll run. And it's always needed, that 9 or 10 pulls to get it to go, basically to draw fuel up into it. And as you saw before, we did well more than 10 pulls on it, and it just doesn't even want to fire at the moment. So there's a couple of things we can do. My guess is the carby needs either a kit to go through it or a replacement if we have to go down that path. But we're going to start with the simple things first. I'll grab a spanner, we'll take the spark plug out, have a look at that, maybe drop a bit of fuel down into the cylinder and put the spark plug back on and see if we can get started that way. And then if that runs, then we know we've got good spark and everything, and then we can go into the fuel system. I've got my spanner, let's pull this spark plug out. It's a little bit black, but it's not too bad. I do actually think I replaced this a few years ago now, but if anything the gap might be a bit big. Turn that on so we can actually see it's firing. Yeah. Okay, so I'm sure I can see a spark there. What I'm going to do is just grab a bit of fuel, just drop a little bit in here, put the spark plug back in, and we'll see if we can fire it up that way. Alright. Okay. That means we definitely have a fueling problem. So the carby's over this side. I'll grab my spanner, we'll take the cover off and we'll start digging into it. So I've set you up so you can see. So this side here, our air filter and carby is behind this. Should come off. So this is actually the air filter, which is just a bit of foam. That's the other part of the air filter. It's a bit dirty and dusty as well, but it's not too bad. I've seen worse. So these two bolts here go through the carby as well and hold it all on. So if we undo those, we'll be able to take it off and the carb all at the same time. That's our carby. Let's pull these bolts and stuff out. I'll grab some rags and we'll just start cleaning some of this up first too before we do much else. Just trying to remove this gasket. So I'm just going to spray this with some degreaser. Try and clean all the rubbish off the sides and right, so I believe all of this assembly, we should be able to just undo the screw in the middle here. So these two tabs here is what controls the fuel flow, and what happens is they sort of dry out over time and they almost look like they're sealed shut. This was the end we definitely need to take off. So that sits on that way. They're better than what I thought they might have been. But I think what we'll do is I'll go and buy a kit, and then we'll come back and we'll put it all back together. I'll just sit this on here for the time being. So the reason I put these things back together is if it takes me a little bit longer than I think to be able to get the kit, then I don't have to remember exactly how everything goes as much, even though for me I've got it on camera. It's just easier this way. So we've been out, we've bought the kit. It was around $20. I was able to buy that from my local mower shop. All the numbers seemed to line up that it was the right part, so that is really soft compared to what we looked at earlier. So they're the two main gaskets that we want to change. So we'll replace this one first. It's not the same. It's too big. Way too big. Oh, back to the parts store. So what I think I'll do is I'll actually take this gasket in with me when we take these back, so that we can make sure that I've got the right size. It looked right, but yeah. Well, we're back at it. I have the right kit this time. I took the old, or some of the old gaskets with me this time, just to make sure the sizing was right. Thankfully the guys were really good. They actually worked out that it was probably human error, and the code for this on their computer and the old one, there was one line difference away, so someone must have just read the wrong line when they first looked at it. So we will grab some of these gaskets out and just replace them one at a time, just not to confuse ourselves, keep it nice and simple. Do the diaphragm first. So anytime I do something like this, like I did before, I always just take note of the way up it is as I'm replacing them, because you obviously don't want to put it up the wrong way, then it's definitely not going to work. So we can now remove this because I have the new one, so that's good. So I'm using this blade, but I'm just using it really carefully because it's all, I believe all this is just all aluminium, so it'd be really easy to score it, I think. We've cleaned all this down the best we can, wiped it all, scraped it very carefully. So we'll put this gasket with the diaphragm back on. I'm just going to check my old gasket. So that was the old gasket. That hole was actually covered up. Okay, I need to have a look. Well, So I've been through all the gaskets I have, and I don't have one that covers this area over here like this one does. And this bit is like a piece of plastic, so I'm not going to use that just yet. Now this kit that I got came from a Stihl shop, so you would think they would have been the right parts. Those holes line up, so we're going to try it. So I have a replacement gasket for that. I was able to pick up one of those as well. I don't think I have one of those, so it looks like we're going to be reusing it. So I'll bring the whipper snipper over and we'll start putting this together. So we're about to put the carby back on. It's attached through what holds the air filter. So what we need to do, so the gasket goes on here, then the carby sits on, and then the other gasket goes on, and then as we slide it on we need to attach the carby to the accelerator cable, and then obviously there's a gasket goes on here before it all screws together. We'll record this as we do it, try and show you how this works. We'll get all this together. There. Cable goes there, and now I've done all that, this is upside down. Take two. So just before we start it, one other thing I've just done is the mixture screws for high and low. High's on the left hand side, low's on the right. You can sort of see it up here, it tells us. So I've adjusted those back to sort of where they say factory setting should be, which is you screw them all the way in and then screw them one full turn out. So we'll see how we go, see if we can get this started and see if it runs. So choke in the on position. So it should have coughed by now. So we just tried getting it going and it didn't start. So I was just thinking I would do what I did the other day, pull the spark plug out and drop a bit of fuel down it. And then I realised we didn't plug the fuel line back into the carby when we put it back on. So hopefully I can do that without taking the air cleaner piece apart. There we go. I'm sure people watching this probably saw that I missed that, and we're probably yelling at their computer screens. Try again. On. I'm seeing a fuel leak. Okay, so we've just taken everything apart. Just going to try and have a look and see. I think what we'll do is just mount this up, put it back together and start it. We won't put the air filter cover or air filter on it initially. We'll just have a look, pull it a few times just to see if we can determine where that fuel is leaking from. This time we've definitely got the fuel line on. So I went through every piece of gasket that we had, and I did end up changing it up to suit that. What I had in there just wasn't exactly the same, had a slight difference. So we'll try it again. We'll connect the carby back in, exactly what we did before, and try again. It's not leaking, that's good. So there we go. We've re-kitted the carby, we've got it running again. I'm really happy with that, especially now the grass is starting to grow. We need to start mowing more often, and using the whip snip around things is awesome. So that's all we have for today's episode. So thank you so much for watching. Hey, please hit that like and subscribe button for me. That'll be fantastic. And we'll catch you on the next one. God bless.